I'm like, hold on. Oh yeah, above. Thank you so much. That's so good. You're so nice.
I'm gonna do a little introduction.
It's already going, so.
This is our Apush final interview project, and today we are here with Miss West. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you.
So let's just hop into the questions.
Our first question is, where were you born?
I was born at Stanford Hospital, Palo Alto, California.
So did you grow up here?
I grew up first in Menlo Park and then in Santa Cruz Mountains, but I went to high school in San Jose.
So you moved around a lot.
Yeah, kind of Pan Bay area.
Yeah, yeah.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Presentation High School, which is an all-girls school.
How was that for you? Did you like the experience there?
I did, actually. I was bullied in middle school and bullied by boys, and so it felt really nice to go to a school where that didn't happen, and it was very empowering.
Do you think that bullying has led to some sort of resent towards boys, like
No, no, actually, no, no. I think what happened is I developed my voice in going to high school, and no, not at all. No, I have a son, I have a husband. It's all no.
What was your home life like? Did you have like siblings? I know you mentioned moving around a lot. How was that for you?
I have one sibling, and he lives here in the city, and he's great. Just so kind and generous, and he sometime during high school, he was a senior when I was a freshman, decided he would just like take me under his wing and be nice and let me hang out with his friends, and it really, he went to the all-boys school, I went to the all-girls school, so it was actually a really great relationship, and like he has taken care of my kids, and he's super generous with his time and awesome. My home life, I feel very blessed. My mom was a teacher, taught special ed in San Jose, and my dad worked in real estate and is an artist.
Yeah.
And really, both of them encouraged me to pursue what I loved, and
That's cool. You picked up a bit of both of them.
Yes, I did. I did. Well, I've had other careers before this. This was not my first career.
Did you go to college?
I did. I went to UCSB.
What did you study?
I double majored in art and theater, but my theater is costume design, and that was actually my first career.
That's really cool. What made you switch from that to teaching?
Having children. So I had really cool jobs that actually you thought I moved when I was younger. So I lived in LA and I worked in television. I moved to Austin and went to graduate school. I moved to New York and worked at the Jim Henson Company that makes the Muppets, and then I worked at the New York Metropolitan Opera, and I was actually there for 9/11. That is gonna date. That's gonna age me right there. But I had a really cool time. I moved back home to San Francisco and worked for San Francisco Opera. The problem with that career is like you have to work all the time, and yet you don't. A lot of it's freelance, and I would get laid off, and I just never made enough money. And then when you have kids, it became harder. So like there's working at San Francisco Opera, there's a lot of nights and weekends, and I had little kids, and then there's a lot of drama too, because it's stressful of getting things on stage on time. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think this is a good fit anymore. So then I worked for a friend who had a knitting pattern design company, and I learned a little bit about business, and I thought I was going to go into business after that because I never made a lot of money working in the arts. And instead I went to another lucrative career of being a teacher. What ended up happening is I worked with my friend for a while, and then economic downturn, her business shifted and she moved to Vermont, and I did not. And then I started volunteer teaching in my kids' class, and they didn't have an arts program at Lafayette Elementary in the outer Richmond. They had parents who volunteered, and I was like, this is my background. I love this. This is so fun. So I did volunteer teaching of art, and then I was like, I should go get a credential. So I did, and I first volunteered up at Wash to kind of see what it was. I always thought I wanted to do tech school, but I wanted to make sure. Little kids are super fun, but there's a lot of
Very tiring.
yes,
Yeah.
tiring in a different way. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So yeah, and then I student taught here, and I got hired, and I'm really, in fact, I student taught in this classroom when it was Mr. Geyser's.
Out of all your careers, because you've worked a lot so far from the opera to now, what was your favorite, like, out of all your careers that you?
Gosh, they all had their. I would say this one this is the one that has lasted the longest. Like I loved all the different jobs I had. I learned from all of them, and they brought me to different places. But this is really rewarding and super creative all the time. I don't always get to make my own art, but that's what the summertime is for. And it's very rewarding to work with young people to get them excited about making stuff. It's so fun. And also I really I have this quote over there that the world that I should know the quote by heart, but basically the world that I want to live in is not going to exist until I make it. And so I feel like that's kind of my mission statement.
So true.
Just because I think the more that people practice being creative and envisioning, imagining, the more they're able to, whether or not they go into an arts field or they make art for fun or for like self-expression, or like they're depressed and they want to get it out, whatever. I feel like it's really rewarding to empower students to do that. So
yeah.
I would say this one. Yeah,
That's cool.
I like people.
Yeah.
Do you have any student that you've taught that's gone like deep into like arts or is currently like doing arts and has like reached out back to you and been like, oh hey Miss West, I just want to thank you?
I know people. No. The short answer is no. I know people that have gone into art, but I haven't had people come back and say, I'm doing this now.
Yeah.
So if you're out there or your brothers and sisters are
Watching this video.
I've had people come back and say hi, but I haven't had people who, like, I know some student I had during the pandemic went on to art school, but I don't think he's graduated yet.
Oh.
This is my 10th year here, so it's still a little soon for me to have people be famous and come back.
Yeah. One day it'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
Let's see. So what was it about, like, you said you were really drawn to teaching high schoolers. What drawn you to it?
I like that you're near adults, but you're not formed yet. I like that I can reason with you, and you know, there's the capacity of an adult, and yet
Still a
your
child.
hearts are still open. So I like
That's a cool.
it's good.
So you have 2 kids, you said?
I do.
Tell us about them.
Okay, so I have a student in college who she goes to Manhattan College, but was abroad this semester. Is coming home tomorrow, and I'm so excited.
Oh.
She is majoring in business because my husband is also a teacher, and she's like, you guys work so hard and so make money. So she's majoring in business. And then my son is a senior, and he's about to graduate.
Senior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Where's he
high
at?
school?
Yeah.
Where does your husband teach?
He teaches at Washington, and he teaches video production, funny enough, and he teaches English to seniors, a science fiction class.
Oh, that's a cool class.
Yeah, right?
From what you've heard, do you think that he's a harder teacher than you are? Like,
Oh,
what do you think
definitely.
teachers are?
Well, I'm an art teacher and he's an English teacher. I think
That's
his
true.
video class, no, but his English class, I think.
Has any students like complained about him, said he's a harsh teacher?
Well, he also actually he'll put it this way: you're a lot sweeter than I am. And I'm gonna agree with that. I'm gonna agree with that statement. I think he's just more like gruff, and I think I'm more like a mom, and I don't endeavor to be a mom in the classroom, but I think that does come off. I'm more, yeah. Although some students, I'm sure, will tell you the times when I'm like, oh no. So,
yeah, you have your moments. Do you have any? What do you like to do with your free time outside of work?
Well, I spend a lot of time actually meditating. I TA for a meditation course, and I spend a lot of time doing that and working with other people, with adults. And actually, I hope to be doing some of that during the summertime. And then I'm hoping to. I need to get my art practice more regular. I find I get very pulled in other directions, but that's yes. And then I also really like to go. My parents live in Santa Cruz still, and so I go see them. I go seek the sun because I like the sun.
Like meditation. Like what is that?
Like what do you do?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it is about sort of stress reduction, but it's also like the kind of meditation that I do is actually creative visualization. And so a lot is kind of, in a way, telling one a story so that you're not thinking, but you're occupying your brain to get to a place of quiet and emptiness and stillness in your body and like trying to think what else. I've a little bit brought it into the classroom. I'm hoping to get more confident with that. Because while I love teenagers, I'm not sure if they're all open to that. And so I'm trying to find just the right way to bring it in so that it doesn't feel too weird. But it feels like it's actually a really awesome tool. Particularly, we have a lot of students who have challenging home lives or are just stressed because you're overwhelmed. And so what do you do with those emotions and how can you ground those out? Essentially, like a lot of it's based on sending emotion, sending bad energy to the ground. It's also a lot about boundaries and having, you probably experienced where you're in a classroom, in the hall, we have 2,000 students here, you're walking around and there's, you can feel other people's energy. Like whether you're into that or not, you can feel it, right? You can feel if someone's had a bad day. You're like, dude, keep it over there. So a lot of the kind of meditation that I do is about sort of keeping my energy to myself and like keeping other people's energy out. And then when I feel like, that's a lot, what can I do to kind of like ground it out? Like, okay, clear the energy. So yeah.
That's I think that's a really cool way of like regulating your emotions and stuff.
Well said. Yes, that's what I do.
How do you feel like you got to a point where you were like able to work that out? Like, do you think you kind of picked it up through experience of just like having a stressful job where it's kind of unpredictable? Oh, okay.
Yes. In fact, I started doing this. Like, I was interested in it before. The other piece of it is that it's meant to sort of build your creative capacity and also like your intuition. During the pandemic, I struggled, and so that's when I started taking the classes, and I thought I was going to take one class, and then I took another one, and then I took another one, and I thought when we went back in person that I wouldn't have time and I wouldn't want to do it, and I discovered really quickly, I actually have to do this in order for me to be a teacher. Like, I don't know if I can keep being a teacher, because it's a lot. We see 100 students or more a day, and so that has become a regular part of my practice that I have to do it. So I do it a lot. Like I even listen to something on the way that I come Because when I'm driving, sometimes I can be like a little out of pocket. And so I listen to a meditation in the morning on my way in so that I arrive in a, so that my students aren't getting all of what happened on the way to school, right?
Yeah.
So, and then when I leave, I do the same thing. So,
Talking about like listening, I just want to get like a little like fun facts about you, kind of.
sure.
What's your favorite? Who's your favorite like musical artist? Do you have
Oh
a
my
favorite
gosh.
food, movie? But let's just start with like musical artist. Who's your favorite singer?
Oh my gosh, my favorite. Gosh, that's a hard one.
You could list a couple.
Well, I'll just talk about, I go to Outside Lands
Oh.
almost every
Ooh.
year,
Yeah.
and I like that because I can find new bands, new artists, or they're not new to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also go to Harley Strictly for the same reason,
Yeah.
and I live nearby there, I can just walk over, so it's
Yeah.
fun. Gosh, I don't know who my favorite is, like who's on my playlist. I have a very wide variety of my students will tell you, they're like, I'm not sure about that.
If you had to choose one to listen to for the rest of your life,
Gosh,
who would it be?
oh, that's so hard.
That's a hard question.
I can't choose.
Your whole entire discography.
I can't choose. And also, when you ask me that, I'm drawing a blank too. Like
Yeah,
I can
of
think
course.
of about 4.
What about like?
Foo Fighters. If I had
Oh,
to find
yeah.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
Love
That's
it. That's
great.
like one of my
Okay.
favorite bands.
Okay.
So, outside, did you? When they were there last year,
Mhm.
Foo Fighters were there last year. So was
Oh,
that
yeah.
your favorite set
Oh, yeah.
last year?
That's super cool.
Yep.
You got to see that.
That's nice.
I think Dave Grohl and I would be friends. I think he and his wife and I would hang out. We'll barbecue. Yeah, so.
Favorite movie?
Gosh.
Or if it's too hard, just like top 3.
A recent movie is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, yeah.
Great
that-
movie. It's a great movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
I also, oh my God, one of my favorite ones is this documentary on David Bowie. Amazing, like amazing. I love that movie. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, also one of my all-time favorites.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
What's that about?
And it's subtitled in Chinese. Ang Lee is the director, and it is kind of women who are, I won't say bad, who are. It's a martial arts film. It's so good, so good.
Okay. What's it called again?
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Yes,
Maybe I'll
it's so good.
Do you have favorite food or like cuisine?
I like a little spicy. So I went abroad to Indonesia when I was in college, and I really, between Indonesian and Thai food, I would say is probably my favorite. My brother goes to Thailand all the time, and I'm a fan.
Favorite Thai
Curry
food?
is,
Oh, the curry.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
curry is the bomb. Yep.
Favorite book?
Favorite book. Gosh, that's so hard. Oh my gosh, drawing a blank.
What about the most recent book you've read?
So I read a lot of nonfiction, which is super boring. Just a book that I can think of that I read in the last couple of years. Oh, my friend wrote a book
Oh, wow.
called The Rose, and it's kind of time traveling. The Rose. Yeah, by Holly Payne.
Holly Payne.
Yeah, go to Amazon. I wrote a review. I'm anonymous, but I laughed, I cried. I was like, I thought about it for weeks afterwards. Holly Payne, The Rose.
The Rose. You guys are hearing it right now.
It's about this woman who was abandoned to be raised by this monk who's cruel to her, and she had like supernatural powers.
Oh, wow.
That developed from that she discovered, and then she gets away from him, and as a whole, there's lots goes on.
Sounds
I'm a
really
kind of a magical realism kind of.
I like those.
I like the, it's the creative, but then it's also kind of real. Could happen. So
Maybe.
I had one more like fun favorite, just because I know you're our art teacher. Who's your favorite like artist?
Okay, this is a totally boring thing to say because I'm sure everyone's gonna say this, but I love Frida Kahlo.
Oh, I love
really love
it's,
Frida
it's
Kahlo.
Frida Kahlo though.
Yes.
You can't not like
There's a
Frida
reason
Kahlo.
she's famous.
And also, I teach students. I don't have anything up in here. Wayne Tebow, who just passed away, so he now is a dead white guy, but he's from Sacramento. He taught at UC Davis for a long time. He paints like pies and cakes, and at first I was like, what's the deal? Like, what's so great about that? But over time, I've discovered how much there is to look at in his paintings. And he does landscapes, and where he kind of abstracts and stylizes the landscape. There's so much color. I learn about painting and technique by looking at his work. And then he just seems like a cool guy, and so I really like him as well. But Frida Kahlo I love because of the ideas, the symbolism. I love that she just like put it all out there.
Yeah.
So
I have kind of an awkward question that might be a little controversial, but like, how do you feel about modern art?
So I really like ideas. Like every year, if you take AP 2D, we take several field trips, and I like modern art. I like when for me, if it has idea and really good technique, really interesting use of materials, I love it.
Yeah.
So I think every student should go check out thisiscolossal.com. It's all contemporary artists who are doing work. Art 21 is another website I use a lot for AP2D, where you hear contemporary artists telling their story, talking about the process. I played clips of those for AP. So there's a lot of artists that no one's ever heard of, or most of you all haven't heard of. Another artist is a contemporary artist that I love is Anne Hamilton. I love when, and it's not, she does more like installation art, which is like you fill a room with stuff that has meaning, and she's amazing. There's an artist named Swoon. She's a street artist. Her real name is, I forget now. There's a bunch of artists that I like that I teach or I bring into the classroom as inspiration, because I think they're doing those things, like interesting ideas, interesting process, and their use of materials is like, that's cool.
Yeah.
So modern art that is just, there's some modern art I don't like because it doesn't move me because of how they use the materials, but often they can get me if they have a great idea.
That's interesting. Like I hear a lot of artists kind of bash like modern art. And I appreciate that you look for past, those.
And it depends. I mean, you kind of have to take a minute, sometimes,
Yeah.
because sometimes I would rather to be moved like, oh, that's interesting, or there's something visually appealing about it, but I need, something to draw me in.
Yeah.
If it just is like lead, then I'm kind of why bother? So.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually had like a little awkward question, just going
Okay.
back. You said you were in New York during 9/11.
Yes.
I was wondering, because I don't know, I personally haven't heard anyone who's there during. What was just your whole experience of that? Your reaction? Were you frightened? I mean, I would be scared.
It was an interesting day. So I worked for the Metropolitan Opera. My job was to assist designers and go shopping in the fashion district. And so that morning I didn't know it had happened. I took the subway in, and I grabbed my stuff to go to the fashion district. So the Metropolitan Opera is on the Upper West Side, 67th Street, and I went down to 40th Street to where the fashion district was. And while I was waiting for the subway, one of my colleagues who made costumes came running in. I was like, oh my God, I have to go get my kid. My kid is in the World Trade Center. And I was like, knew nothing in daycare in the World Trade Center. And I hadn't heard what happened. She goes, yeah, a plane hit it. And I assumed it was like a small plane. And I was like, oh wow, well, be careful. I just had this feeling like, be careful. And so we got in the subway together. I got off at 40th and she carried on. Luckily, I heard later the daycare was in the bottom floor and they were evacuated immediately. And so her kid was fine, she was fine, all was good. So I go into one of my places to go buy a bolt of fabric, and they have the radio on. And also, where I was between 8th and 7th, you could look down and I could see the plume of smoke, and I could see it was on fire. Clear as day, though, beautiful day. And so then I go into several stores, and the radio's on in everyone, and I'm hearing more about it. And then it's like, no, I don't think I even knew then until I got all the way to 6th Avenue to the button store, that down 6th Avenue you could see both towers, and there was a lot of smoke. And I think by maybe the second or third store, the second plane had hit. And so I'm in the button store, and they say, the building is falling, the building is falling. So I go out, and I could see this huge cloud.
Yeah.
Crazy. And and then I saw people just park their cars and start walking.
Yeah.
Like cabs, abandoning their cabs, just start walking. Like all of a sudden, it was the weirdest thing I'd ever experienced. The subways were shut down. People were just walking uptown.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, well, I guess I better go back to the Met. So I take my bolt of fabric, I go back over to the Met, and they won't let me in. I'm like, I work here, here's my ID, we're not accepting any packages, no. Because they had bomb threat, like, it caused all of, like, every wingnut to come out and we had bomb threats for weeks and months after that. So I'm walking around New York City, Manhattan, with this bolt of fabric, and I can't get home because I live in Brooklyn. And I go into a little, like, corner store and buy radio and batteries. Like, this is how old school it is. It's gonna do me. You can tell I'm vain about my age. Anyway, so I run into my friend from college, randomly. So she and I hang out for a little bit. She lives in Queens.
That was UC Santa Barbara.
No, that I had gone to, I forgot to tell you about, I went to grad school in UT Austin.
Oh, okay.
So I knew her from UT Austin, but she lives in Manhattan. And like, I knew she lived there. We'd seen each other, but like on this, like, I didn't know she was there.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I had a cell phone. Oh, I had a cell phone because I called. You couldn't call within New York City, but I had called to California to tell my family I was safe early on, so that they could tell everyone else that I was safe. And so she and I have something to eat, and then she lives in Queens, and we decide we're gonna go to her house because it's further away from everything, and we're gonna walk across the bridge. So she and I walk with my bolt of fabric with, like, you know, it's bumper to bumper traffic of the few vehicles that could get through, and people walking on the street on this bridge to Queens.
Yeah.
And then we get over there, and in Queens, some of the subway is above ground, so I could see that the subway was running. So I was like, it's running, the one between Queens and Brooklyn, because it's the same landmass. So I get on and I go over, I got home. I got home only to find, I was married, I had just married, and our roommate, we had a roommate who was a friend of ours from a long time ago. He worked right by the World Trade Center.
Oh my God.
He saw
everything.
He saw people jump. He was like not quite the same after that. Like, it was pretty intense.
That's crazy.
My story is like, I saw, you know, while I was on the bridge, I saw military planes flying and that kind of thing, but I was not near the intensity of it.
Yeah.
Afterwards, for months, it smelled so bad, like burning plastic, and there was a greenish yellow haze above. With another friend, we went down one time before everything was open, and there was just ash everywhere. There was a cart that was a donut cart that was covered in ash. There was, in the evening, there was this one block that had been abandoned, and it was covered with rats. Like, it was just, it was crazy. It was crazy. But it was, it was a very weird time. It was a very weird time. I don't have, I have an intense memory of it that I will never forget, of like, I know where I was. I'm incredibly lucky that I did not experience trauma like some people did.
Yeah.
You know, and in a weird way, I guess the best way to say it, I just have gratitude that I'm safe. Like, yeah. I mean, that's not weird. But just yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy that like you knew so many people that were so close to you.
Yeah. Well, Manhattan has a lot of people, but it's not very big.
Yeah.
So.
Did you get the fabric back to work? Like
I did.
You have to bring it back the next day?
I did. Yeah, no, like it was totally random. It's like that part, like that's the pieces, like it was kind of and random, like so random. Like, but yeah.
Wow, that's actually that's a super cool story.
Well, I'm like they're Apush.
I know. I think we are out of time.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Actually, could I ask one more final question really
Sure.
quick? Just to end it off, final question. What is your greatest accomplishment, and do you have any future goals that you would like to accomplish before whatever?
I'll answer the second one first. I really want to have an art show, and I'm saying it now, which means I actually have to do it. I really want to have a show in a gallery, and I really want to make a good amount of artwork to do that. I made a bunch of stuff during the pandemic. We had more time then, so I think it was partly that, and I don't know, there was something else going on with me that I was able to just like push out a bunch of work, and I haven't really had that, and so that will be a great accomplishment. My greatest accomplishment now is like making me think, my children is my greatest accomplishment. I mean, like, I know that sounds kind of corny, but they make me better. They make me a better person. They made me a better teacher for sure, and not because they're perfect people. They were teenagers, are teenagers, but yeah, no, I feel like my kids for sure.
That's good answer.
Yeah.
And
Thank you so much for taking your time
Yeah.
out to interview with us. I know this wasn't really planned,
Yeah.
but we really appreciate interviewing and hearing your answers and your story.
I can talk. So yeah.
thank you so much, Ms.
Yeah.
West.
Absolutely.
This is our Apex final. This is Jayden D. This is Asher, and we are out. See you.
Let's go.